There comes a point in life when you begin to feel a quiet stirring inside, as though something unseen is guiding you toward a reality you haven't yet lived. Carl Jung once said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And perhaps that is what these moments really are. The signs of your unconscious becoming visible, the hidden depths of your soul rising to the surface, showing you that your old life is ending and a new one is ready to begin. You don't stumble upon this shift by accident. Life arranges it, the psyche prepares it, and the universe confirms it. The question is, will you recognize it when it arrives? There comes a moment in every life when something within begins to stir, when the familiar rhythm of your days no longer carries the same certainty, and you feel a quiet but undeniable shift pressing against the edges of your awareness. It is subtle at first, so subtle you may doubt it or dismiss it as mere imagination. But then it grows. It grows in the way the same patterns no longer satisfy, in the way you begin to notice signs, coincidences, moments that feel far too precise to be chance. These are the signals that a new life is waiting to take form through you, that the old has served its time and something greater is beginning to unfold. You see, the universe does not shout, it whispers. It speaks through symbols, through encounters, through that sudden feeling of recognition when you hear a word, meet a person, or experience a moment that makes you pause and think, this was meant for me. These are not accidents. They are confirmations. They are the first hints that your life is aligning with something deeper, something beyond what your conscious mind can fully grasp. Often these signals come when you least expect them, during the stillness of an ordinary day. You may find yourself looking at a clock at the exact same time, again and again. You may meet a stranger whose words echo the very thoughts you were wrestling with. You may stumble upon a book, a message, a video, and feel as though it was placed in your path with perfect precision. These are not random. They are signs that the inner and outer worlds are meeting, weaving together to guide you into a new beginning. And yet, most people ignore these signals. They brush them aside because they cannot be explained by logic, because they cannot be measured or proven. But life is not lived in numbers and proofs. It is lived in meaning. When something stirs your soul, when something resonates so deeply that it cannot be dismissed, that is the signal. That is the appearance of a new life knocking at your door. It is easy to overlook this, because beginnings rarely announce themselves in dramatic ways. They come quietly, almost invisibly, in the small turning of the heart. You feel restless, yet excited. You feel uncertain, yet oddly certain at the same time. Something is shifting, though you cannot yet name it. This is the threshold. This is where the signal becomes louder, where your old life begins to loosen its grip, and the new life begins to shine through. The truth is, these signs are not outside you. They arise because your inner world is already changing. Your unconscious mind begins to prepare the ground before your conscious self ever notices. Long before you decide to step into a new path, something within you has already chosen. That is why the signs appear. They are the reflection of an inner choice, already made at a deeper level, now breaking into your awareness. So when life begins to show you these signals, do not dismiss them. Do not treat them as coincidences. Ask yourself, why now? Why this moment? Why this word, this meeting, this vision? The answer is always the same, because your new life is ready, and it is calling you forward. The signs appear only when you are prepared to see them. They are the evidence that the transformation has already begun, even if the results are not yet visible in the outer world. What happens next is your responsibility. You can ignore the signals, retreat back into the comfort of the familiar, and pretend that nothing is happening. But deep down you will know. The unease will grow, the restlessness will remain, because once a new life begins to call, the old can no longer fully satisfy you. Or you can choose to listen, to honor what is being shown to you, and to step toward it with faith. And this faith is not blind. It is a trust born of recognition, of seeing the alignment too precise to be random. It is a faith that knows the world outside and the world within are not separate but deeply intertwined, moving together to reveal the life you were meant to live. This is why you must learn to notice. Notice the patterns that repeat, the moments that strike your heart with unusual clarity, the encounters that feel destined. These are the signs. They are not there to entertain you or confuse you. They are there to guide you. They are the lanterns along the dark road, showing you where to step next. So let me tell you, when you begin to see them, when they start appearing with more frequency, do not take it lightly. This is not chance. This is not accident. This is the unmistakable signal that your old life is closing and your new life is beginning. And once you recognize this, once you allow yourself to trust it, everything changes, because you realize you are no longer walking blindly. You are being guided. And that is when your new life truly begins. Every true beginning is born out of an ending. This is the part that many resist, because endings feel like loss. They feel like the tearing away of something familiar, something that once gave us security, comfort, or even identity. But there is no rebirth without a death, no new chapter without closing the one before it. To step into your new life, you must first allow the old self to dissolve. It does not always happen in the dramatic ways we imagine. Sometimes it is quiet, the slow fading of old friendships that no longer carry life, the gentle realization that the habits you once leaned on now feel heavy, the subtle recognition that the role you've been playing no longer fits the person you are becoming. Other times it is abrupt, a sudden break, a job lost, a relationship ended, a chapter closed before you felt ready. But whether it comes gently or with force, the meaning is the same. The old self is making room for the new. There is a natural grief in this process. You may feel the ache of letting go, even of things that hurt you. Strange, isn't it, how the human soul can cling to pain simply because it is familiar. We convince ourselves that what we know is safer than what we do not. But safety is not life. Safety is a cage. And there comes a time when the soul refuses to live inside that cage any longer. That is when endings come. When you look back, you will realize that many of the endings that once broke your heart were in truth the doorways to the life you were meant to live. You could not carry the weight of your old identity into the future that was waiting for you. The universe has a way of stripping away what cannot survive in the new environment of your destiny. And though it may feel cruel in the moment, it is always an act of mercy. The death of the old self is not just about external things. It is about the inner death of who you thought you were. That image you held of yourself, shaped by expectations, by society, by the voices of others, begins to crumble. And with it, the illusions that kept you small. This dismantling is painful, because it feels like losing yourself. But you are not losing yourself. You are losing who you never truly were. What remains is the raw, authentic being that has been waiting underneath all along. At first, this process is disorienting. You may feel like you are standing in the ruins of everything you built. The old identity doesn't fit anymore, but the new one hasn't yet fully formed. It's as if you are suspended in a space between worlds. This between is uncomfortable, but it is also sacred. It is the place where the soul is reshaped, where the new self is gestating, where transformation quietly takes root. Do not fear this death. Honor it. To cling to the old self is to chain yourself to a life that no longer exists. To release it is to open the way for a greater becoming. The old life was not wasted. It was the soil that nurtured you, the ground where you grew roots, the path that brought you here. But its purpose has been fulfilled. To hold on any longer is to deny the truth that life is movement, life is change, life is constant renewal. You must remember, the butterfly does not mourn the caterpillar. The caterpillar had its time. It crawled, it survived, it fulfilled its role. But for wings to emerge, the caterpillar had to dissolve. That dissolution is frightening if you see it only from the perspective of loss. But if you see it from the perspective of destiny, it is liberation. And so it is with you. The person you were has carried you this far, but they cannot carry you into the future that is calling. The death of the old self is not punishment. It is the initiation into a greater life. You are not being stripped down to nothing. You are being stripped down to the essence, so that what is real, what is eternal, can finally rise. There will be resistance within you. A part of you will cling to the old identity, to the familiar pain, to the roles and patterns that no longer nourish you. That resistance is natural. It is the ego's attempt to preserve itself. But life will not let you remain small forever. It will continue to press, to dismantle, to end what must end, until you finally allow yourself to surrender. And when you do surrender, you will notice something extraordinary. In the very space where the old self died, a new energy rushes in. In the very emptiness you feared, you discover a new fullness. In the letting go, you become lighter, freer, more alive. You realize that death was never the end. It was always the beginning. The moment you accept the death of the old self, the new life begins to breathe. There is a strange tension that arrives just before a breakthrough, a kind of heaviness in the air that you can feel even if you cannot explain it. You wake up with questions you cannot quite answer. You sense that the ground beneath you is shifting, though everything around you still looks the same. This restlessness is not a mistake, nor is it proof that something is wrong with you. It is the undeniable signal that something within you is preparing to be born. The world often teaches us to run from this feeling, to silence it, to medicate it, to distract ourselves until it passes. But it is not meant to be silenced. Restlessness is the sign that life is moving. It is like the pressure in the soil before a seed breaks open, or the tightening of the air before a storm. It is not chaos. It is creation. It is your soul preparing to push you out of the old and into the new. Think about the times in your life when you felt most unsettled. Perhaps you were in a job that no longer brought you joy, but you stayed because it was safe. Perhaps you were in a relationship that drained your spirit, yet you clung to it because it was familiar. Or perhaps you were carrying habits, patterns, or ways of thinking that once helped you survive, but now keep you small. In each of these moments, the restlessness grew. You couldn't ignore it. You couldn't quiet it, no matter how much you tried to convince yourself that everything was fine. That restlessness was life itself, urging you toward change. It is important to understand that this feeling is not a punishment. It is not the universe withholding peace from you. It is the exact opposite. It is an invitation, a call to step into the life that has been waiting for you. Without restlessness, we would never move. Without that inner discomfort, we would stay frozen in the familiar, clinging to the old even as it drains us. Restlessness is the force that breaks our grip on what is no longer meant for us. You may feel confused during this time. One moment you crave change, the next you fear it. One day you feel certain of the direction you want to go, the next day you are full of doubt. This back and forth is part of the process. It is not weakness. It is not failure. It is the natural tension that comes with transformation. When something new is pressing to emerge, it creates pressure in the old. That pressure feels like restlessness, like dissatisfaction, like a hunger you cannot quite name. And yet, this hunger is holy. It is the hunger for growth. It is the hunger for truth. It is the hunger for a life that is aligned with who you really are. You may try to feed it with temporary distractions, new possessions, shallow relationships, endless noise. But nothing will satisfy it until you take the step your soul is asking you to take. The beauty of this restlessness is that it is always a precursor to renewal. Think of a child in the womb. Before birth comes the labor pains. Before the new life enters the world, there is struggle, intensity, and discomfort. Without that struggle, there could be no birth. In the same way, the restlessness you feel is not a sign of failure, but of birth. Something in you is laboring to emerge. The challenge is that you cannot always see what is coming. The new life does not reveal itself all at once. The old self dies first, the restlessness grows, and only then does the new path begin to take shape. This is why the restless season requires courage. You must be willing to walk without clarity, to trust without evidence, to move forward even when the road ahead is hidden. Many people mistake this time as a sign they are lost. But you are not lost. You are in transition. You are between the old and the new, and the only way through is forward. The restlessness is the compass. It does not give you a map, but it tells you with certainty that where you are is not where you are meant to remain. If you pay attention, you will notice how this feeling sharpens your awareness. You begin to see the cracks in the life you once accepted. You notice the conversations that drain you, the places that no longer fit, the habits that keep you stuck. You start questioning, and in the questioning, you create space for answers. This questioning is the first breath of your new life. Do not fight the restlessness. Do not bury it beneath denial. Let it move you. Let it unsettle you. Let it push you into action. Because when the soul is ready to grow, nothing can stop it. The discomfort is not there to break you, it is there to break you open. The truth is, you would not feel this way if there were not already something new waiting for you. You would not feel this pull if life did not already have a door prepared for you to walk through. The restlessness is proof that the door exists, even if you cannot see it yet. So when you find yourself lying awake at night, when you feel the stirring in your chest that says, there must be more than this, know that you are not failing. You are awakening. You are standing at the edge of your old life, and the pressure you feel is simply the new one demanding to be born. And the moment you stop resisting it, the moment you stop fearing it, that is when everything begins to change. There are moments in life when the ordinary cracks open, when events align so precisely that they feel as though an unseen hand has placed them in your path. You might be thinking of something deeply personal, and within hours, you overhear a stranger say the exact words you needed. You may dream of a symbol, and then encounter it in your waking day. You may find yourself in the right place at the right time, meeting someone who changes the course of your journey in a way you could never have orchestrated on your own. These are not accidents. They are signs. They are guideposts placed before you to remind you that you are not wandering aimlessly, but walking a path already alive with meaning. Too often, people dismiss these moments as coincidences. They tell themselves, it's just chance, it's nothing special. But the soul knows better. You feel it in the way your heart reacts, in the way the moment lingers in your memory, in the way it feels charged with significance. It is as if the universe whispers, pay attention. This matters. And it does matter because synchronicities are never random. They are mirrors of your inner life, reflections of your deepest needs and longings, breaking through the surface of your everyday world to guide you toward what you are becoming. Think of these moments as conversation. Your inner world speaks through symbols, and the outer world responds with echoes. When you begin to pay attention, you realize you are not separate from life. You are woven into it. What arises within you begins to appear outside you, and what appears outside awakens something deeper within. This dialogue is constant, but it becomes visible only when you are ready to see it. And when your new life is about to begin, these signs multiply, urging you forward like lanterns lighting a path through the dark. Perhaps you have felt this. The way a door closes and, on the same day, another opportunity appears, almost too perfectly timed. The way you ask yourself a silent question and then find the answer written in a book, spoken in a song, or revealed in a passing moment. The way people arrive in your life at the exact moment you need them, carrying wisdom, encouragement, or connection that moves you forward. These experiences are not small. They are confirmations that you are in alignment with something greater than yourself. When these guideposts appear, you may feel wonder, but you may also feel doubt. The mind quickly intervenes with skepticism. This can't mean anything, it's just coincidence. But the truth is, meaning is not created by chance. It is created by you. The moment something stirs your soul, the moment it resonates with you beyond logic, it becomes sacred. It becomes a sign meant for you, because you are the one who recognized it. This recognition is not random. It is the evidence that your inner world is already shifting into alignment with the new life that is calling you. The more you begin to honor these synchronicities, the stronger they become. It is as if life rewards your attention with greater clarity. You start to see patterns where before you saw only noise. You notice the threads weaving your story together, and the more you follow them, the more doors open. This is why signs appear when a new chapter is near. They are not there to entertain you or confuse you. They are there to give you courage, to reassure you that the invisible world is working in your favor, even when the visible one still looks uncertain. At first, you may feel hesitant to trust them. You may feel as though you are being pulled toward the unknown without enough proof. But isn't that what faith truly is? It is not blind belief. It is recognition of a deeper order, a trust that what speaks to your soul carries truth, even when it cannot be explained. Each synchronicity is a small piece of evidence that you are not abandoned, not lost, but guided. The signs are the universe's way of reminding you that you are seen, that your path is not random, that your longing for meaning is not in vain. Sometimes these guideposts arrive in the middle of despair. When you feel empty, when you are questioning everything, suddenly a sign appears that revives your hope. A word spoken at the right time. A call from someone you had nearly forgotten. A chance encounter that awakens something in you again. These moments are not trivial. They are lifelines. They are proof that even in your darkest hours, life is conspiring to remind you that you are not finished, that your story is still unfolding, that the new life you long for is already waiting just ahead. So do not dismiss these moments. Do not shrug them off as coincidence. Instead, lean into them. Ask yourself what they are pointing to. Ask yourself why they appeared at this moment, in this way, carrying this meaning. Every sign has a purpose. Every synchronicity is a clue. And together they create a map, guiding you toward the life that is meant for you. The more you learn to recognize them, the more you begin to trust the path you are on. And when you trust, you move forward with greater courage, no longer needing every detail to be certain, because you know you are being guided step by step. This trust transforms you. It softens your fear, it quiets your doubt, and it strengthens your resolve to walk into the unknown. And this is the great secret. Your new life does not come with instructions, but it does come with signs. And when you begin to follow them, when you recognize them as guideposts rather than accidents, you realize you are already being led exactly where you are meant to be. And that is when the path to your new life becomes clear. There comes a time when the weight of pretending becomes heavier than the risk of being real. You can only wear the masks for so long before they start to suffocate you. At first, you wear them to protect yourself, to be accepted, to survive in a world that demanded something different from who you really were. But when your new life begins to rise, you can no longer hide behind those layers. The urge to be authentic grows stronger than the fear of rejection. You find yourself pulled toward what feels true, even if it means losing what is familiar. This is not an easy process. To live authentically is to walk away from the versions of yourself you created to please others. It is to release the image you crafted so carefully, the one that fit neatly into expectations. And that image is not easily surrendered, because it gave you belonging, it gave you comfort, it gave you a place in the world. But you begin to notice the cost. The more you maintain the mask, the more distant you feel from yourself. The more you live for approval, the more you starve the parts of you that are real. And then something shifts. It may happen suddenly, or it may come as a slow realization, but either way, it arrives with certainty. You cannot keep living as a stranger to yourself. Your soul begins to ache for truth. You feel drawn to conversations that matter, to people who see you without the disguise, to work that reflects your deeper values. What once satisfied you no longer does, because it was built on a false foundation. Only what is real can sustain you now. When this pull toward authenticity comes, it often brings conflict. You may notice that some people in your life are uncomfortable with the change. They knew the version of you that played by certain rules, that stayed within certain boundaries, that fit the mold they expected. When you start showing your real self, some will resist. They may question you, criticize you, or even drift away. And though this feels painful, it is also liberating, because in losing what was false, you make space for relationships and experiences that are true. Living authentically is not about being reckless or disregarding others. It is about alignment. It is about allowing your inner life and outer life to reflect each other. When your words match your heart, when your actions match your values, when your choices match your soul's desires, you experience a peace that no amount of approval could ever give you. That peace is the proof that authenticity is the path you were always meant to walk. There will be fear in this transition. Fear of not being accepted, fear of losing what you once thought you needed, fear of standing exposed without the shield of your mask. But on the other side of that fear is freedom, the freedom to live without pretending, the freedom to speak without hesitation, the freedom to love without conditions. And this freedom, once tasted, is something you will never want to give up again. Authenticity is not loud. It is not about forcing others to see you. It is quiet strength. It is walking into a room and carrying the calm of someone who is no longer divided within themselves. It is living in such a way that your presence speaks truth before your words ever do. And when your new life begins, this authenticity becomes the compass that guides you. No matter how uncertain the road may seem, if it feels true, it is right. You will find that as you step deeper into your real self, the world around you begins to shift. People who resonate with your truth will be drawn to you, while those who depended on your masks will fall away. Opportunities that once felt out of reach will open, not because you chased them, but because you were finally aligned with them. Life responds to authenticity with clarity. The more you live in truth, the more the path ahead reveals itself. This is the gift of the new life. It does not require perfection, it requires honesty. It does not demand that you have all the answers, it asks only that you stop denying what you already know inside. The pull toward authenticity is your soul's way of saying, no more hiding, no more shrinking, no more pretending. It is time to live in the fullness of who you are, without apology. And yes, there will be moments when you doubt yourself. You may be tempted to return to old patterns, to put the mask back on, to trade authenticity for comfort. But each time you do, you will feel the weight return, the disconnection, the restlessness. You cannot unknow your truth once you've tasted it. And so, even if you stumble, you will always find yourself pulled back toward what is real. There is nothing more powerful than a person who has embraced their true self. No approval can control them, no rejection can break them, no fear can silence them. They are whole, because they are no longer divided. And this wholeness is what your new life requires. The moment the pull toward authenticity becomes stronger than your fear of being seen, that is the moment your new life truly begins. One of the most difficult lessons you will encounter on the path to your new life is the lesson of waiting. We live in a world that tells us everything must happen quickly, that success should be instant, that transformation should be immediate. But the truth of life does not move according to the urgency of your impatience. It unfolds according to its own rhythm, and that rhythm is always precise. When your new life is preparing to emerge, there is often a season where nothing appears to be happening, a stretch of time where you feel caught between the old that has ended and the new that has not yet revealed itself. And in that space, you are tested. Patience is not just sitting idly by. Patience is strength under restraint. It is the ability to hold your ground while the deeper forces of your life are aligning, even when you cannot see them. It is the quiet discipline of trusting that preparation is being done in the unseen, and that the delay is not a denial but a necessary shaping. The truth is, the universe will never hand you what you are not yet ready to hold. It will wait until you have grown enough to carry the weight of what you are asking for. You may look around and feel forgotten. You may think, why is it taking so long? Why haven't things changed yet? But hidden within the waiting is the refining. You are being strengthened in ways you do not yet recognize. The challenges you face in this waiting season are not barriers meant to block you, but tools meant to prepare you. They build patience, endurance, and resilience, the qualities your new life will demand of you. Without them, you would not be able to sustain what is coming. Think of a seed buried in the soil. Long before it breaks through the surface, it spends time in darkness. To the eye, nothing is happening, but within, the seed is splitting open, roots are forming. The foundation of growth is being established. If you judged the seed too early, you would say it was stuck. But in truth, it was becoming. And in the same way, your season of waiting is not stagnation. It is transformation happening in silence. Patience is not natural to us. We crave the result without the process. We want the harvest without the planting, the reward without the discipline, the arrival without the journey. But the delay is the very thing that makes the destination meaningful. If everything you desired came instantly, you would not value it, nor would you be changed by it. It is in the waiting that your character is built, and it is character that sustains destiny. Faith is tested most in the silence. When there are no visible signs, when the doors are not opening, when the answers do not come, that is when you are asked to trust. To trust that life has not forgotten you. To trust that what belongs to you cannot miss you. To trust that the timing is exact even when it feels late. This kind of faith is not passive, it is active. It is the choice to keep showing up, to keep doing the work, to keep believing, even when nothing around you seems to shift. There will be moments in this waiting season where you feel frustration rising like fire. You will want to force things open, to rush into action just to escape the discomfort of delay. But what is forced too early often collapses under its own weight. What is built in patience lasts, so you must remind yourself the pause is not the end. The silence is not emptiness. The delay is protection, shaping you into someone who will not just receive the new life but sustain it. And while you wait, pay attention to how you are being reshaped. The waiting season teaches you humility, because it strips away the illusion that you control everything. It teaches you clarity, because it burns away distractions and reveals what really matters. It teaches you discipline, because it demands that you keep moving forward without the gratification of immediate results. These qualities become your foundation, and when your new life finally arrives, you will look back and see that the waiting was not wasted. It was essential. Often, what you are waiting for is waiting for you too. It is not ready yet either. The opportunity may not have matured. The right people may not yet have entered place. The circumstances may not yet have ripened. Your waiting is not just about you. It is about the alignment of everything that will make your new life possible. Timing is the invisible thread that ties it all together, and when it finally arrives, you will see why it could not have come a moment sooner or a moment later. So if you find yourself in that space where nothing seems to be moving, where your heart is restless for change, but the world around you feels still, do not despair. You are in the most sacred part of transformation. The test is not meant to break you. It is meant to reveal you. It is forging within you the strength, the wisdom, and the faith you will need for what lies ahead. And when the moment finally comes, when the waiting ends, and the new life opens before you, you will understand that the delay was never a punishment. It was the final act of preparation for the life you were born to step into. When a new life is beginning to take shape within you, it rarely comes without a sense of separation. You begin to notice that the conversations you once enjoyed no longer nourish you. The circles you once belonged to start to feel unfamiliar, almost as though you are standing among people you know, but speaking a language they cannot understand. At first, this can be confusing. You may wonder why you no longer fit where you used to. You may question yourself, asking if something is wrong with you, if you've changed too much, or if you've become distant without realizing it. But the truth is far simpler. Your soul has outgrown its old environment, and your spirit is preparing for new ground. This separation is not rejection. It is not a punishment. It is a natural part of transformation. Just as a tree must shed its leaves in order to make room for new growth, so too must you release certain people, places, and patterns that cannot move with you into your future. It is not that those connections were meaningless. They served their purpose. They shaped you, taught you, and carried you for a time. But they were not built for the version of you that is now emerging. It is one of the hardest parts of growth, because the heart longs for familiarity. We crave the comfort of belonging, of being understood, of being surrounded by the people we've known. Yet, the deeper truth is that belonging to yourself must come before belonging to anyone else. When you step into your authentic path, not everyone will walk with you. Some will turn away, some will drift quietly, and some will resist your change because it disrupts the version of you they depended on. And though this can feel like loss, it is actually alignment. Life is making space around you for the people and experiences that match the energy of your new self. If you try to hold on tightly to what is no longer meant for you, you will feel the tension in your soul. You will sense the weight of trying to shrink yourself back into what no longer fits. That is why the separation happens. It is life's way of pulling you out of the old and into the new, even if you would never have chosen it for yourself. Think of it this way: when you are climbing a mountain, you cannot carry every load with you. The higher you go, the lighter you must travel. At the beginning, you may walk with a crowd, but as the path narrows, only those meant to climb with you will remain. The separation is not failure. It is the thinning of the path, ensuring that when you reach new heights, you are surrounded only by those who are aligned with where you are going. This shift can create loneliness, but it is a sacred loneliness. It is not the emptiness of abandonment, but the clearing of space. In this space, you learn to stand with yourself. You discover strength you did not know you had, because you are no longer leaning on the old scaffolding of others' approval. You begin to listen more closely to your own inner voice, and in doing so, you hear the guidance that will lead you to the new connections, the new environments, the new community waiting for you. You may be tempted to run back to what is familiar, to silence the discomfort by fitting yourself once again into the old mold. But deep down you know that once a truth is revealed, it cannot be unseen. Once a soul begins to expand, it cannot shrink back to its former size. The separation, as painful as it feels, is proof that you are being called higher. And as time passes, you begin to see the beauty of it. You notice that new people enter your life who speak the language of your growth. They do not need you to pretend. They do not need you to hide. They meet you where you are and call you further. You realize that the conversations are different now, deeper, more nourishing, more alive. You find yourself in environments that spark your creativity, relationships that support your truth, opportunities that reflect your authentic self. What once felt like loss now feels like liberation. The separation from your old circle is not the end of connection. It is the refinement of it. It teaches you that true belonging is not about fitting in, but about finding where your soul is at home. It shows you that love and companionship are not lost. They are transformed, evolving to meet the new season of your life. So when people drift away, when old bonds loosen, when the familiar ground beneath you begins to crack, do not cling in fear. Trust that life is rearranging itself around your growth. Trust that what is meant for you will remain, and what is not will fall away. Trust that even if you walk alone for a time, it is only so that the right people can find you when the moment is right. And when they do, you will understand why the separation was necessary. You will see that it was never about losing. It was about making space. You will look back and realize that everything, and everyone who left made room for what was always meant to arrive. And in that realization, you will know that your new life has truly begun. When a new life begins to take shape within you, there is something else that begins to awaken quietly, almost without you realizing it at first. It is not loud, it does not shout, it does not announce itself with grand declarations. Instead, it rises from somewhere deep inside, an inner courage you may have doubted you even possessed. It doesn't always come all at once. It often begins as a small shift, a tiny spark of daring that grows stronger each time you choose truth over fear. You start noticing it in simple moments, perhaps in the way you finally say no to something you always agreed to out of obligation, or in the way you speak up in a conversation where before you would have stayed silent. Maybe it's in the way you decide to walk away from a situation that does not honor you, even though the thought of leaving once terrified you. Each of these small acts is evidence of courage building within you. It does not always feel heroic. Sometimes it feels shaky. Sometimes your voice trembles. Sometimes your hands still sweat. But the presence of fear does not mean the absence of courage. Courage is what rises when you move despite the fear. This is what happens when your soul begins to align with a new life. The old fears lose their grip. Not because they disappear, but because you no longer give them the authority to dictate your choices. You begin to sense a new strength pushing you forward, a determination to live according to who you are becoming, not who you used to be. And it is in this transition that you realize courage is not always about grand gestures. It is about consistency, about the daily choice to honor your growth over your comfort. Many people wait for fear to leave before they step forward. They wait until they feel ready, until the path feels certain, until the unknown feels safe. But the truth is, readiness comes not before you move, but as you move. Fear does not vanish before courage arises. Courage is born in the very moment you act while afraid. And the more you do this, the more you realize that what once seemed impossible is now within your reach. The courage that awakens during transformation is different from the courage you may have practiced before. It is not about proving yourself to the world, not about chasing approval or recognition. It is deeper, quieter, and more enduring. It is the courage to be true to yourself, even if that truth is misunderstood. It is the courage to step away from the familiar, even when others question your choices. It is the courage to stand alone, if that is what authenticity requires of you. And in this kind of courage, there is a freedom unlike any other. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. You may doubt yourself. You may feel the weight of others' opinions pressing against your decisions. You may even feel guilt for daring to live differently than those around you. But courage is not the absence of doubt. It is the choice to walk forward even while doubt whispers in your ear. Over time, each step forward builds a foundation of trust within yourself. You begin to see that the world does not collapse when you choose your truth. You begin to realize that you are more capable, more resilient, and more powerful than you gave yourself credit for. This inner courage is not just for yourself. It is for the life that is calling you. Because the path of transformation will always require you to leave something behind, to step into the unknown, to risk what feels safe in order to claim what is true. Without courage, the door to your new life remains closed. With courage, even the smallest crack in that door is enough for the light to break through. And here is the most remarkable part: courage multiplies. The moment you act in courage once, it becomes easier to do so again. Each choice strengthens the next. Each risk taken builds a deeper trust in your ability to withstand uncertainty. What once felt terrifying now becomes the very space where you thrive. The new life you are stepping into is not a destination handed to you. It is built piece by piece through the choices you make to act in alignment with your truth, even when it scares you. In time, courage ceases to feel like something you need to summon. It becomes a natural part of who you are. You begin to notice that the things that once intimidated you no longer hold power. You find yourself walking into situations with a calm confidence, not because you know the outcome, but because you trust yourself to face whatever comes. And that trust, that inner knowing that you can handle both the triumphs and the trials, is the essence of true courage. This awakening of courage is a turning point in the journey of transformation. It is when you realize you no longer need to be rescued, you no longer need to hide, you no longer need to wait for permission. You understand that you hold within you the strength to step forward, to create, to choose to live. And with every step, you prove to yourself that your new life is not something waiting far away. It is unfolding now, in each act of courage you dare to take. And when you finally see yourself doing what once seemed impossible, when you hear your own voice speak words you once swallowed, when you feel your own presence standing firm where you once wavered, you will know without doubt your new life has begun. There comes a moment in the unfolding of your new life when the storms inside you begin to quiet. At first, it might catch you off guard, because for so long you have been used to noise, to restlessness, to the tension of not knowing where you belong or where you are headed. You've carried confusion like a constant companion, lived with questions that pressed against your chest, and wrestled with uncertainty that kept you awake at night. But then, almost unexpectedly, you notice something different. Small moments of peace, subtle signs of calm. It is not that all of life's problems vanish, but the chaos no longer consumes you in the same way. You begin to sense a steadiness, a quiet alignment between your inner world and the path unfolding before you. This peace is not dramatic, it doesn't arrive with fireworks. It is soft, almost like a whisper. You might notice it in the way you wake up one morning and realize you are no longer anxious about what once terrified you. You might feel it in the silence of a walk, when instead of worrying about what comes next, you simply breathe and allow yourself to exist in the present moment. It comes in waves of relief, like a stillness settling after a storm, and you recognize that something has shifted inside you. You are not the same as you once were. This is one of the clearest signs that your new life has begun to take root. The inner chaos that once defined your days no longer holds the same power. You are no longer running in circles, no longer chained to the same questions, no longer trapped in the endless spinning of your mind. You begin to carry a quiet confidence, a sense that even if you cannot see the full picture, you are on the right path. And this peace, fragile though it may feel at first, is one of the strongest foundations upon which your transformation is built. For so long, you may have believed that peace would only come when everything outside of you was fixed. When the circumstances aligned, when the relationships healed, when the answers became clear. But this new life teaches you something profound. Peace is not found in the perfection of circumstances, but in the alignment of your soul with its truth. It is the moment you stop resisting who you are becoming, the moment you stop clinging to what is leaving, the moment you accept the unfolding of life as it is. That acceptance is not weakness, nor is it surrender in the negative sense. It is the strength to trust that you are exactly where you need to be, even if you cannot see the entire map. You start to notice that the battles you used to fight with yourself grow weaker. The inner critic loses its volume. The fears that once roared like thunder become background noise you can live with rather than storms that paralyze you. You realize you do not need to control everything, that life has a rhythm of its own, and you can move with it instead of against it. In this stillness, clarity begins to emerge. Decisions become easier, not because they are without risk, but because you are no longer choosing out of desperation. You are choosing from alignment. This quiet peace also changes the way you interact with the world. You stop chasing validation. You stop forcing yourself into places where you do not fit. You stop exhausting yourself in the pursuit of proving your worth. Instead, you begin to move with a grounded presence. Your steps are deliberate. Your words are truer. Your energy is calmer. People may even notice it in you before you fully realize it yourself. They may say there is something different about you, something steady, something unshaken. And they are right. What they are seeing is the emergence of your new life, reflected through the peace you now carry. It is not that challenges disappear. Life will always bring storms, losses, and trials. But now you meet them differently. You no longer panic at every wave. You no longer feel the need to grasp desperately for control. Instead, you stand in the awareness that you can weather what comes. That calm within you is the sign that you have built resilience, that your roots run deeper than they ever did before. You have become unshaken not because the winds are gentle, but because your foundation is strong. This peace is also a signal that the universe is aligning with your transformation. When you feel that inner calm, you begin to attract experiences, people, and opportunities that reflect it. It is as if the outer world begins to mirror the stillness you have found within. Life begins to feel less like a constant struggle and more like a flow. You may not always understand the timing, but you trust it. You may not always know the details, but you know you are guided. The presence of this quiet peace is not something you can force. It cannot be manufactured. It cannot be faked. It comes only when you have truly let go of the old battles, when you have accepted the path of transformation, when you have surrendered to the deeper call of your soul. It is a gift that arrives when you have finally stopped fighting against yourself. And so, when you find yourself sitting in silence and realizing that the noise has quieted, when you sense that calm beneath the surface, even in the midst of uncertainty, when you recognize that your heart no longer races in fear at the unknown, understand this: the new life you have been waiting for is already here. There comes a moment in your journey when all the signs, all the struggles, and all the inner changes finally begin to take shape in the world around you. For so long, you may have felt the shift happening within, like seeds buried beneath the soil, unseen but alive. You knew something was stirring. You could sense the old life dissolving and the new life trying to break through. And then suddenly, almost without warning, you begin to notice that what once lived only in your imagination, your prayers, your hopes, is now beginning to appear in reality. This is the arrival of alignment, when your inner world and your outer world finally start to mirror each other. At first, it might seem subtle. Maybe an opportunity presents itself that aligns perfectly with the vision you've been holding in your heart. Maybe the kind of relationships you longed for begin to enter your life. Perhaps the circumstances shift in ways you never could have forced, and you realize that life is answering the inner work you've been doing. You look around and see that your environment is no longer resisting you, but reflecting you. This is not coincidence. It is confirmation. It is the evidence that the unseen work you have done, the growth, the letting go, the courage, the patience, has reached a tipping point where the invisible becomes visible. It is in these moments that you understand why you had to endure the waiting, why you had to walk through uncertainty, why you had to shed the old self. The alignment would not have been possible without those stages. Every difficulty was not in vain. It was preparing you for this. And when you stand in the midst of it, you see that life was not withholding from you. It was reshaping you, so that when your new life arrived, you would be ready to receive it fully. This alignment is powerful because it shows you that the gap between the inner and outer world is not permanent. For a long time, you may have felt divided. What you dreamed did not match what you lived. What you desired did not reflect what you saw. That division created frustration, discouragement, even doubt in whether your path was real. But once alignment comes, you feel the relief of knowing that nothing you imagined was wasted. The seeds you planted were simply taking their time to bloom. And now that they have, you realize you were never off track. You were always moving toward this moment. Alignment also brings clarity. You no longer feel the constant pull between who you were and who you are becoming. Instead, your choices become easier. Your direction becomes clearer. Your steps feel guided. You are no longer fighting against yourself. And because of that, life begins to flow with less resistance. The people you meet, the doors that open, the timing of events, all of it seems to work together in a way that affirms your growth. It is as if the universe is saying, "No, you are ready, now you can carry what belongs to you." This moment of alignment is not about perfection. Life will still carry challenges, uncertainties, and lessons. But the difference is that you now walk with a deeper confidence, because you see proof that the unseen and the seen are not separate. You have lived through the seasons of waiting, the storms of doubt, the pains of separation, and now you stand in the reality of what was once only within. That gives you a strength that cannot be taken away, because you know beyond theory. You have experienced transformation becoming reality, and perhaps the most beautiful part of alignment is how natural it feels. You do not need to force it, you do not need to grasp for it, you do not need to constantly chase it. It fits, like a puzzle piece falling into place, like a song finally resolving to its final note. It feels like home, not because everything is easy, but because it is true, and truth always carries with it a sense of belonging. In this space, gratitude rises almost effortlessly. You begin to look back on your path, not with bitterness, but with understanding. You see that the waiting taught you patience, the losses taught you strength, the uncertainty taught you trust, and the storms taught you resilience. You would not be who you are now without them. And in this realization, you understand that alignment is not just about receiving what you wanted, but becoming the person who could hold it, live it, and honor it. This is when you know your new life has fully begun. Not when everything outside is perfect, but when everything outside finally reflects the truth you carry within. It is when the vision and the reality touch, when your spirit and your circumstances meet, when the unseen becomes seen. And in that moment, you no longer doubt, you no longer question, you no longer wonder if you are on the right path. You simply know. And that knowing is the undeniable proof that the new life you have been waiting for is here.